Hello. Good evening, everybody. I did miss live yesterday. Just got home a bit too late. But I can go over a review. I haven't done a whole lot yesterday or today, so it won't be too hard to review. Um, DFly was on my weekend watch list going into Monday. I had noted that there was a possibility of an offering, and that's exactly what it got there in pre-market. So when I rolled in, it was already out at 7 a.m. and I was up 4:30, 5 o'clock ish my time around here, and it was already buck 40s down from a buck 80s. So obviously just too far down to try to get a short off on that one. So it was a missed opportunity, and was a bit frustrating that that was the way it played out, because that was a plus trade that got ruined in about a minute. Open, I had traded that one as well. I had given the idea of pops versus 880s 9 area, and we got a pop in pre-market and right off the open. So I leaned into it, had like an 850 average, and then I stopped out right over here through the 880s. I was short, looking to short into that looking left resistance that's been failing. I thought maybe we'd have one last exhaustion attempt before rolling over. It looked all right throughout the day, where it popped up, round tripped, and then was just making new lows and failing off VWAP. So it looked all right, and then just got swiped. Probably some news or something came out. So took a loss on that one. Missed DFly. Femi, I had shorted this one. We got a big enough exhaustion gap where it was pushing up into the 90s, looking left there in pre-market. And then I got a pop right into the open, into those pre-market levels that then had a hard crack lower high. There we go. Where'd my crosshair? There we go. So we got a pop right up into the open, and then had a hard crack lower high. I was leaning all through here in the 80s, and then I added through low a day, moved risk down to 85, added right here, moved risk down over under versus 80s. I covered only about a fifth into 71s, and then I re-hit this pop looking for prior support to become resistance, and it just didn't fail. So I stopped the rest there. Only made about 1R on it because after the ads, my average was around 78, 79. And then I covered some, but then it came right back and was over under, not too far off my average. So only made about 1R on that one. And while I'm on the topic of this ticker, it's looking very similar to DFly right over here, where we got that big push, pullback, next day, hold sideways right around here, and then if we can get some uptrend, Femi's just looking fairly similar right there. If we can get a sideways and uptrend towards the highs, could have a breakout on our hands. Not a ton of overhead resistance, has put in a nice history of these multi-day runs, and this price range has been really hot, so worth keeping that one on watch. And then Jobby, I have sold that entire swing, got a bit lucky with it. I had sold some yesterday in the 1860s right at open, given how Kulamagi talks about it. I was long from here. You're supposed to sell it 3 or 4 days and move risk to break even. So I had sold some in the 1860s, and then I'll go into how my frustration continued going into this morning. But I felt like peak frustration to the point where I mentioned it in the lounge in Investors Underground this morning. That I was watching, but I was not going to be giving alerts and whatnot in IU. I was just completely frustrated. It started with DFly yesterday, and so I just locked in this one. Was up about 4R on Jobby, so just took it, and that was the only trade I took today. I closed out that swing position. Got lucky because they put out an offering in after hours, so ended up basically nailing the top on that one for now. The offering could get absorbed, maybe hold these 17s and then get a 20 breakout down the line. but no real plans there. So let me go back here. I wrote down to myself a little diary mention. So D-Fly yesterday was where frustration started. This is like a 10R opportunity to me, where it runs from 50 cents over $2, a nice topping wick. Any sort of flat open or slight gap down, any sort of pops into those 190s, twos, any of those categories, scenarios, other than a massive gap down, results in a big trade on my end. So when they offered, and that was my main watch going into Monday, that was just a bit frustrating. I had traded Femi, but it wasn't like an A grade opportunity. I put a dabble on open that ended up stopping me out, and I started selling some jobby. I think I only made 1R or so yesterday. So then I sold jobby this morning because DVLT, this one here, is ripping. And I was long on this day on the breakout. I stopped under prior day's lows, which was 133, and it ended up going to 125. So I stopped out at like 131, I think it was. Go back. Come on. There we go. So I had bought the strong close and risked to low a day. And I'm fine with the choppy action. I continued to risk low a day because I felt like that shouldn't break. That was the breakout day. That low a day should hold. It pulled back, stopped me out by like 7 or 8 cents, and then gets a PR midday yesterday and goes on an absolute tear, and then gaps up and follows through today up towards threes. So with the size I had at 150, risking 130, and then being up, a buck plus a share, that's a monster opportunity that I ended up missing because I stopped out by a couple pennies. So that one was frustrating. D-Fly was frustrating. Femi, this one here, was frustrating because of it pulled, and then I covered some, but it came back, which is fine, respecting my plan. But it grinds all the way back, breaks high a day by what, 3 cents, and then completely round trip, or it doesn't round trip, but it did by today, where it closes weak and then gaps down 10-15% by market open. So I'm like, well, there's no trade in that anymore. When I cover and it starts going higher and I can get out with a profit and the stock keeps going higher, that's like best case scenario, where I'm shorting pops, covering dips, and then the daily chart just keeps getting better. But then it gets a weak close and a gap down. So then that was frustrating. And then GPIS, this one here, this one here was from the watch list. I didn't see it on this day. I saw it on this gap up day, but didn't get any weak opens to join. So I've just been seeing things fairly well and just not being able to find an entry. So that was the whole reason for locking in jobby today. I just felt like I needed a win under my belt after all of these like possible big trades, missing them. I felt like I needed to lock something in just for my mental stability. So yeah, that's about that for the review. DVLT is definitely a watch into tomorrow. I contemplated a short overnight versus today's highs, but I'll just risk being frustrated again. If it gaps down and I miss it, then so be it. But the 4 EMA is down sub 2. We've got this gap to fill towards the high 2 or the low 2s, and it's extended from its breakout from $1.50 over 3. So it meets my 100% threshold. It's extended from the 4 EMA, and I've got a close below its open type of candle with a bunch of volume here. You can see up overhead. So I will look for pops up into prior resistance, use prior day's highs as a guide, look for hard crack lower highs, move risk to highs, opening range breakdowns, look to pyramid into that. Same process that I go over all the time. ADAP, this one here is still holding up. Possible long through those 16s for an early entry, 16s versus 12s, and then add through 20s for that breakout. But this daily is looking pretty good. We got a pullback, higher low. Now we just need to see a confirmed higher high. Jobby, I think it could continue, but no real interest on my end. BTOG, I've got price alerts, no need to watch that. Open, we got wicks here on the other side now. I'll probably just leave it be. I don't know. It's getting a bit choppy. It's not as parabolic and smooth as it once was. Femi, keeping this one on watch for that D-fly template. Looking for that one to possibly break out. GPIS, I like how this one has topped out at its prior highs now. Now I have an actual breakout level I can use. So if this can pull back, hold 60 for a day or so. There we go. It's a better chart. Yeah, if this can pull back and hold 60s, maybe for a day or so, looks like a strong move in after hours. But one inside day and then a re-breakout would be ideal. That one there is holding up, looking like a possible T+1. Just looking at my other daily chart there, because we've got kind of a multi-time frame breakout. You can see the last big volume day is right up there in the 3s, and that's aligning with that day one high. Bunch of the volume came in there in the morning. If this can hold like 280s, like break today's highs, there's still a bit of overhead resistance, but I think once it's over 280s, that 320s isn't too far out of the question. It's holding above day one VWAP. They do have some volume support. It's probably worth keeping on watch. Archer. Wow, that one pulled back something fierce. Booru was a breakout today. I don't really consider it a miss through these 30s. One, it gapped up over, right to the breakout level, and it also had a bunch of overhead resistance. So it did work, but I don't really consider it a miss. Now, I'm going to run through my scans here. Even just with watching recent runners, like DVLT would be my main watch. And then I'd have like Femi and ONMD as my backup, other two kind of back burner watches. I don't really need much else other than that. Hive, quite the move on Hive. Just not enough volatility to really interest me, but nice move. RVPH, what's that thing doing? Yeah, 4 EMA is only in the 60s. It's not really extended just yet. SES, I've traded that one countless times. Bunch of these kind of dailies where they're not like extended by my definition, but their dailies are getting there. Do I consider SOPA as a T+1? Yeah, that one looks pretty good too. Does have a bit. That's the same kind of scenario where it's got like multi-time frame resistance up there in the 6s. But you got that nice big volume day. Volume completely dries up. Most of the resistance is down here below current prices, above day one VWAP. It's a decent look. Would probably be like opening range highs, entry versus low a day, something like that. BTQ. move. Any other tickers you guys got on watch? Like I say, I don't think you really need a ton, but scanning's worthwhile in case there's something else slipping through the cracks. In the 5-10 minutes it takes to run through a list of scans, you could find that one that pays you, and then that 10 minutes was worth it. The gainer scans are pretty full. Everything is just up. And I've got some scans that are like up on the month, up on the week, but have pulled back in the last week or few days or something. And those ones are a lot less. It's just the gainers in like the last few days that are hot, but nothing's pulled back. Everything's just on highs. RVSN. It's a little breakout. What does it look like intraday? Whoa. Yeah, I'd need that RVPH. I'd need to get some expansion candles. The way it's going isn't super interesting just yet. The more I'm seeing this Femi, the more I kind of like it, because it's getting into liquidity trap territory the way that volume dropped off too. I'd really like to see it continue to hold 70 and just put out a PR tomorrow in pre-market or something and get a bid going. I love these like $1 names. Some of my favorite price range to trade are these $1 names at $1 to $2. You start trading volume, you can get some decent size behind it, and I usually feel fairly comfortable in them. When you start getting the sub one names, the share count gets a bit out of hand. Yeah, day ones have been wild. I'm kind of glad you see the Shkreli one yesterday. Martin Shkreli posted that one. Went from like 30 to what, 220 or something. I'm glad I don't trade day ones. Random big picture question. Do you ever think you'll exclusively trade full time? There will be time when you won't trade at all. Not sure if I'd personally ever want to trade exclusively. Too much downtime. Looking at screen, I enjoy working with my hands, at least while I'm young. Yeah, I'm kind of in that boat, like for now at least. I don't really like. There's times throughout the year where I'll go and smell the roses, but for the most part, like 90% of my year, I'm not really having fun. I'm I'm working. I'm scanning. I'm trading. I'm in construction, doing that kind of stuff. Um, so I think that there would be a time years down the road when I feel I don't have that worry that, tomorrow I could blow up a trading account and I wouldn't feel so financially secure. And that could happen. Every day we show up, we put money at risk. And that's kind of always in the back of my mind. But like you say, there's always downtime. I make 90+% of my money in the first 2 hours of the day. Um, so sure, I miss a trade op here and there um, in afternoon hours, but for the most part, I'm not really missing much by not being present in those hours. So I like in the near term, I think just kind of continuing the way I'm going and refining what I am doing to extract the most P&L in the shortest amount of time. Um, and I think once I can get kind of a nest egg invested in blue chips and S&P ETFs and that sort of thing, um, that it that like dividend payout supplements salary, I think would be that time when I'd feel okay with just trading and thinking that I've paid my dues for you know decades, and now I've earned some time to smell the roses and enjoy a little bit of life. Never know when that last day is going to be, so but yeah, I only really do stuff for fun. Like I work quite a bit. Even today, like from 4 till 8, I was trading. I was on my computer, and then wasn't trading, but I was on my computer doing scans, watching, whether you consider that work or not. And then from 8 till 7:30, I was working and commuting home. And now it's 7 quarter to 8, and I'm doing this, prepping for tomorrow. So literally the whole day today has just been work. I think it'd be nice to get out of that once in a while, but in the near term, I don't think I've paid my dues, and I don't think I've earned that semi-retirement life. I think I still have some dues to pay. But yeah, I don't think I would trade exclusively to make an income. I think it would be far too stressful and too much downtime. But I think if I wanted to go and enjoy my life, that I would still part-time trade and then just go and have a good time. Go on vacation and trade the morning and then spend the rest of my day doing something with my family or something. Kind of keeping the same structure, but instead of working the rest of the day, having something else, golfing, friends, family. Um, I don't really spend a ton of time in BC and like our nature that we have. One of the most beautiful places in the world is British Columbia, and I don't really spend enough time in the outdoors. So, a long answer to that question, but that's kind of my thoughts on it. Start fishing. Yeah, some of the guys that I work with, like some of the older guys in their 60s, they've fished for years. They go on fun little fishing trips. I don't think I'd have the patience for that. Trading gives takes enough of my patience that I don't have a ton of patience to do that. I don't know. Sitting on a boat waiting for something to bite doesn't sound like a ton of fun. I'd rather hike or kayak, or I like physical activity. I think would be more my jam. Go for hikes, go kayaking, canoeing, stuff like that. Go hike to the top of a mountain to get a cool view. Oh yeah, always casting. Yeah, I hear ya. There's probably a way to do it that I just haven't been exposed to. Gotcha. Noted. As far as watches tomorrow, I don't mind Jenica's idea of this SOPA, adding that one to the watch list of that liquidity trap. Looks like it held fairly well. Opening range breaks on that one. ONMD, if that one can get over 280s and then start to join a trend if risk reward makes sense, that one's probably worth watch. So a couple liquidity trap ideas there. Femi, if this starts to break down under 70s, probably gets hit. But what I'd like to see is like a 7 or 8 a.m. PR, shove this thing up into the 80s, and then be able to play that breakout through the 90s. So I'll keep that one on watch. ADAP, this one here through the 16s is probably decent for an early entry versus 12. Risk 4 cents, and then by the time it's up at the breakout at 22, if it gets there, then you're already 6 cents in the money. You're risking 4. You're up 6. So you're already up over 1R. If the intraday makes sense, you can move risk to intraday lows, and you could probably get some decent size because you already have a starter on. So I'd keep that one on watch for a possible swing. And then DVLT will be my main watch. If it's gapping up and like holding over VWAP 270s, 280s, yeah, if it's like up 280 plus, I'd probably have to wait for a fail because there's nothing saying that this has to fail tomorrow. But I do like the sub VWAP close. It is extended from the 4 EMA. Let's see what the RSI is at. Yeah, RSI is at 85. Nothing crazy just yet. But it's getting there. Extended enough for a watch. So that's what I got. I think I will close it out there. Appreciate the chat, you guys. Little deep thinking. Oh, there's another one. ARBK looks good. What do you think? ARBK. Doesn't jump out at me just at first glance. Not a ton of overhead. Most of the range came in like a straight up spike. It hasn't really digested anything. I'd need this one to have like I wouldn't want to trade this breakout tomorrow. I think it's just gone straight up, rested for a day, and then it could go straight up. But I'd like to see like I typically like more of like a multi-day run for the breakout. Like the difference there with Femi is it upticks, runs, gaps. Like you've got a steady trend, volume up near the highs. Or with ARBK, there was nothing and then just whoop and then sideways all day. So I think like at first glance of the daily, it looks average, but looking at the intraday, it just doesn't look like a clean multi-day mover. Would be my thoughts on it. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for tuning into the watch list. I hope I provided value to your evening. And I will do a written portion at some point this evening and post it to IU and into Twitter. And the rest of you, I'll see you on the next watch list. Smell some roses? Yeah, not tomorrow. Maybe 10 years from now. Alrighty, guys. Take it easy. I'll catch you later. Peace.